Greetings all, Chris Courtney here, just getting started with today's Bloc GitHub Git AMA. Waiting on a few people to arrive. So this is our first test of Google Hangouts on air, so it may seem a little odd. We probably will want to go back through and post and try to edit this thing down. But if you see the raw form of this, and future iterations, just know that this was a live recording with people coming in and out, and hopefully as we move forward we will get some good questions today and be able to answer some and be able to kind of push people forward. The goal of this session is to allow people to ask any questions they might have about getting set up with Git and GitHub. A lot of people come to the this portion of the program, and they may have a different computer. They may have an older computer. They may have never used GitHub before. They may not really even quite understand terminal, or the command line. So that's why we're hosting this session today, to try to see if we can answer those questions. And I'm going to have to take a minute to make sure that I'm not missing some of my folks here. It looks like we have a viewer that just jumped in. And if you're watching this and you're trying to jump into the session, we need to make sure that you can get in here. And the easiest way to do that, I believe, is to, and I'm trying to, I'm over here in the showcase, I'm over here in the Q&A now, and saying my Q&A feature is disabled, so I'm not quite sure why that is happening, but we're going to go back to the event page and see if we can invite some folks into this. Yeah, we're going to share the link. I'm going to share this link back out again to make sure that that our folks at Bloc HQ can get in if they in fact want to. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, we're back, and we looks like we have a couple of viewers, but nobody has popped into the room with a question yet. The one thing I wanted to take a moment this morning and look at was how to determine whether you have Git installed on your machine. And I'm going to see out of my directory. Let's come back over here and just do a quick screen share. I love that. That's awesome. So we're going to jump over to terminal, and a lot of people, they don't necessarily know where to get started with Git and GitHub. And in all actuality, it all really starts in the command line. So for those that aren't aware, I'll go ahead and close this down. For those that aren't aware, boy, I need to clean off this desktop. You're going to go into your Spotlight search, and you're going to type in terminal. And when you type in terminal, you're looking for this little command line prompt icon that will launch terminal. Double click on that. And that should open up a window that looks something like this. For some of you, I'll take it out and kind of show you what a lot of you probably are going to see the first time you open it up. You'll get a new window, and it'll probably look something more like this. This is just a shell, and the shell is basically where you type in all your commands. Regardless of whether you have a shell that looks like this, or you have a shell that looks like mine, which is using Homebrew, you should be able to type in Git, and you'll probably see it a little more clearly here. When you type in Git, if Git is properly installed on your machine, you should be able to see all the possible usages and the commonly used commands spat back out at you. This is basically is a method of help to allow you to see all the possible things that you can in fact do with Git. The big ones that you'll use add, you'll use checkout, branch, clone, commit, fetch, init, log, merge, push, pull. Yeah, that's basically the span of the different elements that you'll use here. Looks like we have our first guest jumping into the AMA. Who have we got here? I can hear somebody, but I can't tell who we've got. We have Marina. Marina, are you with us?
Yes, hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. So are you currently in the Bloc program using trying to work through Git and GitHub?
Yes, and I'm really stuck and, I'm really frustrated.
I completely understand. That happens with a lot of people. With design, we are always trying to put ourselves in a better position to collaborate with the developers on our teams, and being able to use GitHub and Git are vital for that. Could I ask for you to share your screen with us, because I think that being able to see your screen is really more important than seeing mine. So if you would go to the left-hand panel and access the screen share icon, which is the green icon with the arrow, that should allow you to share your screen with me this morning.
Okay, the window popped, but just share button is not. It's just faded. Google Hangouts, enter screen. Okay.
I'll share mine really quickly so you can see what I see. The one thing you'll want to do is you'll want to share the entire screen. So obviously I'm going to get this nice little multiplier effect, but you're looking for this screen share button over here on the left. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. Once you click that,
I do, and then the window pops as Google Plus Hangout would like to share the content of your screen.
correct.
And I but the share button is not active.
Right, you have to select one of the options, entire
Oh,
screen.
okay,
Right.
entire screen.
That will give you control to display.
Okay, do you see it now?
I don't see it right away, but now I do. Now I do. So, okay, so you're on a Windows machine.
Yes.
Okay, so Windows is going to uh, be a little tricky for me. I'm not completely familiar with that platform, but that's okay. One of the easiest ways to make this work for you is to get your command line prompt open.
Okay, here's the story. I just don't understand in general why do we need this. I thought that it's like pure. I mean, first of all, I don't understand what I know. I finally understood after reading and reading what is GitHub.
Mhm.
So I know what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but I have no. I mean, I know a bunch of programmers, and I kept emailing everybody, reaching out to help, and nobody knows Git. Seems like. So what is this and why? I don't understand. And what is frustrating for me is that so I keep reading, I watch Joey's video, and then there is these scary orange buttons that I keep clicking, and then it takes me to next page, and then the next page, and next page, and I mean I keep reading, and I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, actually, I'm not sure what the orange buttons are that you're referring to are.
Um,
Can you show me those scary buttons?
yeah, well, see, for example, at least I know what GitHub is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see GitHub Basics. I go here and then I read, and I don't get this check-in over time thing. Then see these buttons like okay, this is the book. Then there's these instructions. So I went to the instructions, and then. So, I mean, this is confusing for me. It says, okay, install for Windows.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, okay, so it says it's both official, it's available to download to Git. Just go here and the download will start automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But there is project called Git for Windows, which is separate from Git itself. See, this is confusing for me. What does it mean separate? And
The the
and
thing
then
the thing to
go here.
understand. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing to understand is that Git is a different thing from GitHub. Git is something that exists on your machine, and GitHub is a repository to push code to that exists on the internet. It's a specific hosting site basically that exist on the internet. So basically, you are using Git to take things from your machine and put them somewhere else. All right. So the two Git is a method of transfer, and GitHub is a place that's going to hold on to the
I
things that you.
understand that the GitHub is the place to store the codes, but
Right.
I don't. I mean, I don't understand. Is so Git is not a language?
Git is a framework of sorts. It is I compare Git to baking a cake. There are not very many creative things that you can do with Git. There are a set of commands that you can use, but it's not like HTML or Python or something where you can build your own application out of it. Git does a very specific task, and that task is only available to you if you have Git installed on your machine. One thing I'd like to do is I'd like to pass along a link here. 1 second. I'd like to pass along a link here because I do think that right now what you're reading through would be very confusing to somebody who is not familiar with the command line. Being familiar with HTML and CSS is a much different thing than being comfortable with the command line. So what I would like to do is I would like to get you to open up your command line prompt. Could you go to your Start button for me?
Yeah.
And then go to All Programs. And let's go ahead and go down to Accessories. There you go. And now we want to go to Command Prompt. Okay, so here we are in the command prompt. At this time, could I get you to just simply type in Git, G-I-T, and then hit Enter? Okay, so Git currently isn't installed on your machine at all. Okay, knowing this, that means that we now need to go through the steps of making sure that Git is in fact installed on your machine, and there are two methods for doing that. You were looking at the methods just a moment ago on the Bloc resources site, where it said that you could download Git or you could install Git for Windows. What I've found is that for people who are less familiar with command line, installing Git for Windows is probably a good idea. I don't really advise using the GUI that comes along with Git for Windows, but it will automatically install Git, which makes using your command line prompt actually work. So if you could go to the following address, and actually, if you could go back to your Bloc's resources site, where it gave you the installation link for Git for Windows. Could you do that for me?
Yeah. So see, now it's the Git branching, Git. I mean, I read this and I don't understand.
Right, but that's going far over what you need to know to get started. And I think that the biggest issue that a lot of people that are just beginning the process of learning how to use Git is they consume too much information and they freak themselves out. If you don't have Git installed on your machine, there's no need to know what Git branching is or what merging or pushing and pulling is. We can only worry about that after we have Git actually installed on your machine. So if you could scroll up.
I forgot where did that?
That was on the resource page. Okay. So the resource page, you had clicked to it, read the Git Basics. So click on Git Basics. There you go.
No.
Now in Git Basics, you'll scroll down to the area where it talks specifically about Windows.
Yeah, to install Git.
Right. We want to go ahead and install Git for Windows. This is you're on the yes, there you go. The item that says go to gitforwindows.github.io. I want to go ahead and install that.
So what is this first one and what's the second one? I don't understand, or I don't need to understand. I mean, I don't know. It's separate from Git itself. For more information, go to here. And see, there are two buttons.
I understand that. I understand that. I would like to go ahead and simply use GitHub for Windows github.github.io. Go ahead and click there, please.
Uh-huh.
And now, if you would simply download here.
Okay.
And you're going to, do you have a 32-bit machine or a 64-bit machine?
64.
Okay, go ahead and download the 64 then.
Can I check?
Sure. It should be in your control panel, I believe.
Computer or control panel? Yeah, I think it's 64.
It actually might be in your computer link. Again, I'm not a Windows user, so my dabbling here will probably be a little. I'll stub my toe here and there. System properties is probably what you're going to want to look at.
Yeah, 64.
Okay, there you go. So let's go ahead and go to that 64-bit exe file, and we'll get that installed. I think it's the second one there is what you're looking for.
Downloads Git 32. This one?
Yes, ma'am. The second one. That's right.
After Effects. I don't think After Effects. Okay, download. Okay, and save.
So once that's downloaded, what we'll want to do is we'll want to go ahead and get that installed. Open when done is fine.
So why do designers need to know this GitHub, Git thing?
Without having the ability to use GitHub, you're basically on an island. You won't be able to push your code, or it will be more difficult to push your code to collaborate with other developers and other designers. It also puts you in a precarious spot to have to worry about where your code is at all times. I love having the freedom to know that if this machine caught on fire that I'm happen to be holding this session on right now, if it caught on fire, I could simply go download my work from GitHub and be completely back up and running in about an hour. I'd have to buy a new machine. But there's the loss of theft, the threat of my computer being dropped. All that just goes away when I'm properly backing up my files using something like Git and GitHub. The other thing, and the far more important thing, is it allows you to collaborate with any other designer or developer in the world who happens to be utilizing GitHub or utilizing Git. There are a number of other things that are not GitHub. Bitbucket is among them, where you can host Bitbucket, Untitled. You can host your files somewhere else. The important thing to realize is that using Git as a workflow tool is an industry standard. So if you do not know how to use GitHub, you're automatically at a disadvantage against any other designer that you may be competing for a job with.
Okay.
So it's downloaded now. Let's go ahead and open that up and let's get it installed. See, we have another gentleman. Matt has joined the call as well. Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Good to see you, Matt. Are you a student or a mentor here at Bloc?
I'm a student.
Student. Okay. Awesome. Where are you calling in from?
California.
California. I'm working with Marina through her Git install right now for Windows. Are you a Windows or a Mac user?
I'm a Mac guy. I've been following you. I've been listening to your conversation for quite a while, so I've been going through what you have been explaining to her.
Oh, just on the Mac side of things?
Yeah, and so yes, I do have my terminal. I've opened that. I've installed Git. It recognizes it, so I have all the commands there and the command line prompts. Good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you will probably benefit most from the next step. Marina, I want to make sure that you are doing okay on your end. It looks like you have all the things, Windows Explorer, Quick Launch on desktop. I think that you have associated default text editor. Yeah, this looks good. I think you can hit next.
Do I need to keep these additional icons unchecked? Because there are some boxes checked and some of them
I would
use
go.
the.
I would go with the defaults that are selected here. So I would just hit next.
Yeah, so you see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I
That's
should
fine.
still see it.
So
Next
now
is
do I next? Okay.
yeah, next is fine.
Okay.
I would say I would click. It's override here. I would select the second one as well.
Okay.
1 second. You will only be able to use is considered safe. Yes, that's the one you want. Let's go ahead and hit next.
Check out Windows style, comment Linux style. Check out as is, comment Linux style, undo.
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's basically asking you if you want to allow your computer to do the translation between what is Windows style and what is Unix style. So that's all fine. Go ahead and hit next.
What is console window? What is console? I never understood.
Oh well, the console is basically just the area that you type within. So if you when you typed in Git earlier, that was a console window.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. Go ahead and hit next.
Enable the system caching. The system data will be default and paired.
I would. It says that's experimental, so I would leave that alone. Go ahead and hit next. Taking just a moment. So Marina, how far along are you in the program right now?
Or I finished. I didn't even finish 26 because I had another problem with the user testing.
Okay.
Because I followed the instructions and at the end it said that I have to pay $149 for it.
That doesn't sound right. Was that on Usability Hub, or was that with was that for you?
Usability Hub, I got away with it because I collected some karma points with them.
Mm-hmm.
But the user testing gave me,
Yeah, they've usertesting.com recently changed their pricing strategy. It used to be a free up to a number of up to a number of tests, and then they started charging. But they have since changed. So I've been advising my apprentices to go through and use the Steve Krug usability script and to host in-person sessions instead, or to do Skype sessions where instead of reaching out to something like Usability Hub, which is going to cost you $150, you actually host a session for people just either face-to-face or via Skype, and you guide them through a series of questions. So that's a different AMA. We may actually want to host one of those for other ways to do usability testing. But I would not pause at 26 just because of that issue. I would continue pushing forward. So let's go ahead and look at what you've got here. It seems like everything is in order. Can you scroll down to the bottom for us? All right. So this is just telling us what the changes are that have been involved with this version of Git. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to go back to your command line prompt. And this may not immediately work, but let's go ahead and type in Git, G-I-T, and hit Enter. You may have to open a new window, but this also could work. So,
okay.
Oh, that works as well. All programs. Oh, there you go.
Does it matter if it's capital G or it doesn't matter?
It does matter. You want lowercase G-I-T. Enter. All right. Git is now properly installed on your machine. So, phase 1 down. All right. This is good. This is good stuff. So now, if you were to type in, just type in ls for me, and hit enter. That is interesting. Can you type in pwd and hit enter? So you have in the command prompt you have access to Git, but not access to other command line tools. That's interesting. We'll want to circle back on that. I'm happy to see that Git is working for you, but it appears that we may have other things that we're going to need to look at. And I'm going to do a quick dig on that right now. And are you on Windows, is it 7?
Yes, it is. Or XP, I don't remember.
You actually may be required to. I want to see if you can actually make a directory. So will you type in MD?
Yeah, Windows 7. Yes.
Right. Will you go back to your command line prompt?
Uh-huh.
I'm just curious about something. Type in uppercase MD.
MD.
M as in Marina, D space, and then type in the word test and hit enter. Okay, now I want you to CD, type in uppercase C space test, enter. Okay, so you do actually have prompts available to you, and I want to make sure that you know where to find those at. So I'm going to send over. I'm going to send this over in the chat. It looks like Matt. Hi, Matt. I just saw your note. I'm going to this link I just sent to Marina, this ss64.com/nt. That's going to give you the prompts that you would need to navigate back and forth through command line. And these are extremely important because otherwise you have no way to move around your system. I typically push people to use command line the hard way. This is something that I commonly will push my apprentices to learn. But it does appear that command line the hard way may not directly relate to Windows prompts. With that, I need to take a short break. I will be right back if you can give me just 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah, take it with. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. So I want to switch over to Matt. Are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah.
All right, Marina, we're going to switch over to Matt for a second. I feel like we've worked through a lot of Windows specific issues for the moment. But Matt, I want to shift over to you. I was answering the GitHub question a little earlier. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get you to share your screen with us. To do that, I don't know if you can see my screen at the moment. But to do that, you should be able to go over to Screen Share, and then to let's see here. You should be able to go to Screen Share, which is in the left-hand corner of your screen.
Yes, I clicked on that, share screen. It says share entire screen,
Mm-hmm.
Google Hangouts. Hold on just a second.
It looks like we've got you. All right. Can you see? Are you seeing me? Seeing you? Seeing me?
Hard to see. I see you.
You see me? Okay. All right. We need to figure out how to get you full control.
Actually, yeah, I can see. I mean, obviously, I can see what I'm doing. I could see. Yeah, actually, I can see. It's hard to really tell what I'm seeing.
It looks like you're on a big widescreen monitor.
Yeah, I'm on a 5K.
Got it. You've got a lot of icons down there in the bottom, because I can see your screen really well. Let's. There we go. So, with that said, I'd like you to go ahead and open up your command line prompt there, that terminal shell you've got.
Yeah.
Let's make that bigger to where we can see it. And to do that, you can, if you hit the command bracket, close bracket, that should make the type there larger.
Yeah, it doesn't.
What about command plus? A lot of this is muscle memory for me.
There you go, command plus.
There you go. So my fingers were in the right area, just not exactly the right area. All right, so for you, can you make that just a hair larger? I can't really see it all that well. Thank you. For you, obviously, if you type in Git,
Right.
that's going to put you in a spot where it shows that you currently have access to Git. So next, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you have your directory structure set up in such a way that you're going to be pushing your projects to GitHub. So right now, where are you hosting? Where are you keeping your projects on your computer?
I have my own file system structure for all my design work.
Okay.
I also have an hourly backup that I send my 200, actually it's about 650 gigs of information. It just constantly cycles those. And I also have another backup that I use. A network, it's like a MyCloud, a WD MyCloud. That's kind of like a third tier backup system. I have multiple systems for backing things up.
Got it. So with that said, where are you hosting your projects that you've been working on for Block?
So far, I've just been using Google Drive, and Dropbox for my mentor and I to review what I've been doing. So everything resides within those folders and the structures that I've built within them. Now, as far as I'm in the UI UX course. As far as actually using Git. In general, I haven't seen, I understand, the strengths and the strength of using Git if you're a, front-end developer or even, a back-end developer. But from a solid designer's perspective, it's kind of hard to buy into the system, so to speak. It's not a normal working convention that I've used for the last 27 years in the industry. So, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, now, if I'm doing a lot of coding, I can understand how this would be very useful. I can share and collaborate, with other people that are coding, and they can improve upon my code. I can add and to theirs if I get to a level where I'm comfortable doing that. But in the interim, I have no idea what I'm going to use GitHub for until I reach that spot, whether it be in this course or in, let's say, as I'm learning code over time.
What I would say is that you're at an immediate disadvantage to any other designer who's going for a job, basically. If you aren't familiar with or actively using Git or some sort of version control system to not only back up your work but deploy your work. This isn't just about your work on your machine. It needs to live online, live somewhere. And if the easiest way to do that, shy of just using like FileZilla and manually dragging things around, is to use something like Git and Github. Now that said, I understand you've been in the industry for a while. I've been doing this for 20 years myself. I'm an illustrator. I'm an art major by trade. Okay, lots of paintings and charcoal drawings and things like that. But if I want to collaborate online, this is the way I do it. I know when I was at a hackathon in Qatar last November, I was working with people from 3 different continents on a project. We deployed that project, and that project was open sourced. And a news organization in Hong Kong ended up picking it up to show how the yellow umbrella situation played out over the course of months in Hong Kong. That wouldn't have been possible had I kept it in my sketchbook. And it's that sort of real life impact that you can have only when you are deploying your code and making and collaborating with others in an environment like GitHub. You know, are there jobs out there for you that don't require you to use Git and GitHub? Sure. But there's a lot. Those jobs are really only what's within arm's reach of you. What's in your general metropolitan area. I'm more interested in collaborating on a global level, and I know that if I put myself in that position, there's no shortage of opportunities that I basically won't run out of them. But that's my perspective on it. You clearly can have another perspective on it, but if you're going to have control of your projects, if you're going to be able to collaborate with your mentor can be making a branch of your work and offering code guidance alongside of your work without ever writing directly on your work if you're using Git. You can be offering up suggestions for updating code repositories of your favorite framework if you're using Git. If you're not, you're just kind of sending emails around, and you're also trapped within the current state of your project at all times. If you decide that something broke along the way before you made your last update, there's no way to really go back and get that information if you're not using Git. Git is a version control system, which means that every version, every update of the project that you make, going back to the beginning of the project, you can go back and get it if you're using GitHub. That means if you had different graphics uploaded at a different particular time, then you would be able to go back and get those images and those things if they were a part of your GitHub project. If they weren't, you're just stuck at whatever the current state of things are.
So I understand how the usefulness of GitHub is for, like, as I mentioned before, for code and revisions and continually building upon that. But if we're looking like strictly at a Photoshop or an Illustrator type of workflow with, let's say, zero code, how does Git work for that?
I wouldn't use it for that, and I wouldn't. I mean, the jobs that are available to people that are just Photoshop jockeys are forever increasingly shrinking. I left print design back in 2008 because I saw this coming, and I worried about this in 2000 when I moved from Indianapolis to Chicago. This was one of my big concerns. I was worried about the way the web was going to change things, and of course it has. It's happened. Does that mean that there aren't Photoshop jobs out there? No, there's still plenty of that if that's what you want to do. I'm guessing that if you're part of the UX UI course at Bloc, that you aspire for more than that, and that's one reason why we push Git so heavily, because of its ability to unlock opportunities for you working with people literally anywhere on the planet.
Right. So that being said, yeah, I do understand that. I've kind of lived in a unique bubble where I've worked in the trade show exhibit industry where, continuous tone print isn't going away. It's been solid. You obviously have to print large format graphics, so it's been isolated from this continual, as you said, diminishing of demand for traditional print design. Now, that being said, I want to get away from the trade show and exhibit industry. I've been in it for way too long now, and the writing's on the wall. I can say, hey, you know what? I can hang out here, and eke out a living, but I need to grow with the times. I want to do more coding, which Git makes perfect sense for. But I guess where I was getting at with my initial question is, okay, outside of the code, obviously Git isn't a repository for graphics. It's just not meant to handle that. It's more, unless it's, let's say, version graphics for your web or display-based projects, whereas large, for your regular, like, I guess in my industry, my 1 to 2 gigabyte projects, you know, they're not going to live there. You know, those are definitely going to have to live somewhere else because of the massive size of them in general.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think that's an accurate assumption. And again, it's you know, where do you want to live at? You know, do you want to live in the digital realm or do you want to live in the print realm?
well, right.
This entire course is built focused on web.
Right. So, you know, so that being said, you know, I do understand how Git and Git, you know, Hub work together to help, you know, meet those needs of, you know, I guess the collaborative needs of your work. Now, I guess, you know, I'll let you go on to explain this. Is you know, as a novice user of this, because you know it's completely new and the concept is intriguing and you know it's obviously the way things are going. You know, how do I really become a power user? You know, and use this to you know, I guess you could really say empower your projects and your future with the you know collaborative nature of Git.
I believe that the way that you get in and you begin to grow is you don't worry about the 5,700 options that the resources tab will throw at you, and you do a few simple things. So just for grins, I want you to type in. I want you to do a few things for me. We're going to create a test directory. Can you type in pwd on your terminal? Lowercase, please. Okay, so you're in your home directory for your Sack Lunch design.
Yeah, that's my business. Yeah.
So I would like you to create a folder. And first of all, do you know how to create folders from the command line?
I do not.
Okay.
This is like, you know, this is very new to me.
Okay. So what I would suggest doing is first that command line the hard way link that I pushed through for Marina. I would suggest you take a look at that as well. But we're going to do some command line here really quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a directory. And to do that, I want you to type in mkdir space. Can you hit space for me?
Okay, Marina's saying she can't see, I think.
Right, and I'm not sure if you are sharing with everybody, but we weren't done yet. I need you to hit mkdir space and then type in projects. Enter.
It says file exists.
Oh, well, you must have a project folder somewhere.
Well, I started, you know, when I went through the process at GitHub itself when I entered the course as far as the pre-course work.
Okay. Well, great. It's there. So let's go ahead and change directory into projects. So I want you to type in cd space projects. And now you're in that projects folder. Go ahead and type in ls and hit enter. Okay, so you've got a lot of projects in here. All right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Well, so this, I'm a little confused now. Like, this is like my work that I've, you know, done for years. You know, why it's here, you know, or why am I looking at it here? You know, I don't know.
Well, this is what's in your projects folder.
Oh, right. This is my, you know, on my computer itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you type in pwd.
So we're actually I guess. So we're actually still working on my machine technically right now. Okay.
Yes.
That was what.
Actually, pwd.
Oh, pwd.
So you're in your user folder, your specific username, and then projects.
Projects, right. Okay, yes, I understand that. I understand. I can see the hierarchy now. User, which is me, you know, this is my user ID. This is my project folder within my user ID. I understand.
Okay, let me do one thing really quickly here. Need to get.
No, I'm glad you're having this hangout because as Marina was stating earlier, it's completely alien, if you haven't used it before.
Right, and I'm trying to simply I'm trying to get your video to pop up for Marina now.
Let's see if I can hear.
Oh, I got it here. Marina, is that showing up for you now? Oh, I muted Marina. I thought that was where the echo was coming from. Marina, is that showing up for you now on Matt's screen?
Yeah. You
Okay.
cannot hear me?
No, I had you muted because we had an echo, but you're good now.
Okay.
All right. So Matt, back to you. If you could minimize your Chrome window really quickly. There you go. And let's go ahead and focus our attention back on terminal. What we want to do now is we want to go ahead and we're going to create a test folder. So let's mkdir.
So make directory, basically.
Correct. And just write test. Enter. Now, obviously, we'll want to cd into that.
Okay.
So cd and then test.
All right. So I'm in the test.
Right. And of course, how would you see where you're at? You type in pwd.
Right. So PWD stands for Project Work Directory.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. I'm just kind of guessing from these little acronyms.
It's basically just giving you the pathway.
Right.
So users, stack launch design, projects, test. Now I would like you to type in git, G-I-T, space, I-N-I-T.
Okay, Git space, INIT, and basically what I'm doing is initializing the Git workflow.
For that folder.
Exactly, okay. I just want to make sure that, as we go through this, I'm understanding, I can verbalize it back to you that I understand what's happening.
Correct. So if you hit enter, you've now initialized an empty repository.
Within Git?
No, within that folder.
Oh, within that folder, okay.
Right, so Git is a command line tool. By typing in git init, you're telling the computer, I want Git to watch this specific folder for changes.
Okay, so that being said, now, as a user of Git now, will Git technically like ping this folder and track it, I guess, in the versions and like upload things, or do I have to actually push that?
You would have to push that.
So it should become a part of my everyday workflow.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to make sure that it didn't have any sort of autonomous control over the machine.
No, it is simply and you'll see in a second when we start looking at status. If you type in, well, we'll take a look now. We'll type in GIT space status. And now you can see that really there's nothing there except for your initial commit, which is where you created the Git. You told Git to start watching this folder. So I want to take a minute and begin putting some things into this folder. Every file tends to have a README. So what I'd like to do now is add a README to this folder. So let's type in touch space readme.md. Enter.
What does the MD stand for?
Markdown.
So
Markdown should be familiar to you. One little thing that a lot of people may or may not realize is that all the course material in Block is actually written in Markdown.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that Git has some more advanced Markdown features.
Correct. And that's why this README file is important. Anything that you put in into this README file is going to actually show up on GitHub with your project.
Right. So I guess, you know, in the command line, I guess, you know, okay, so I need to write Markdown for something. Where do I do that, I guess?
That would be in your text editor.
Okay, good.
So that's where Sublime text comes in. Okay.
All right. Okay, so you can use Sublime. See, I use like Atom.
Atom's fine.
Yeah. So basically, you know, I just I'll just have to tag that particular document I'm working on as Markdown, so it shows up properly.
Correct.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I haven't quite got that far in the course yet, so I'm just trying to understand where you're going with this.
Oh yeah, and I think that as you well, let me stop and back up. What checkpoint are you currently on?
It's like 13.
Okay,
so I'm still in the wireframing stages.
Great. All right. So this is really where, you know, you're early on in the program. We don't even touch Git until checkpoint 27. So for Git to seem like this fuzzy thing that doesn't make any sense yet, that's why.
Yeah.
Once you get to 27, which is where Marina's at, then it becomes a lot more apparent why Git is important, because without it, it's very difficult to keep track of your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, and all the frameworks and things that come with this.
Right, and so I wanted to get ahead of the game, because the last thing I want to do is unfortunately get stuck like Marina did, just because of, you know, I'm a new user to this particular function.
Right. So for this, we now want to add this file. We've created this Readme. You don't actually have to put anything into it. The fact that it's there will tell Git that something has changed. So I want you to type in Git status again, but instead of typing it, actually delete that. Oh, well, that's fine too. If you hit your up arrow once, these commands are all saved. Okay.
So by hitting the up arrow, does it just take the last command that I typed and repeat it?
Yes, or you can continue to hit up, and it will bring in other commands.
Weird. Okay, don't quite get that, but I'll go with it.
Well, the goal here is to save you time.
Okay, so yeah, so it's like shorthand.
Right.
Okay, I understand the concept.
Okay. So and you don't have to use them. So here you've got Git status. Go ahead and hit enter again.
Right.
You should see that you have an untracked file. Well, how do you track those files? This is where you use git add and then the file name to track that file.
And in this case, it's readme.
Right. And now instead, back up. Just type in R and hit tab. Actually, no, I'm sorry, not that far. Type in git add, type R, and then hit tab. Autocomplete exists here as well.
So if you continue to hit tab, will it cycle through your file?
It will only give you the options that match the first letters that you've presented to it. Like,
oh, okay.
Like, so if there were 3 options that began with R, it would spit all 3 out and ask you to pick one.
All right, I'm taking copious notes here, so so I don't forget this.
Again, it's a speed thing.
Right. So this, yes, it's kind of like I said, a shorthand for this particular workflow.
Right. And there's a third way to do this as well. So delete readme altogether.
Okay.
Git add and type in a period.
Space period?
Yeah, space period. This will say git add everything that's untracked. So now if you type in git status, and we don't have to type it in, we could just use the up arrow.
There we go. Okay, I'm getting the hang of this.
Now hit enter. now you'll see that it's automatically telling you something's changed here. What has changed here? The README is now added to the commit.
Okay, and so what is the commit?
Oh, great question, because it's the next thing we're going to do.
All right, well, I'm getting ahead of you then.
Not at all. This is changes to be committed. It has not been committed yet. Okay. So now we want to make a commit. We'll type in git git space commit space -m -m space make a quote, and then enter in some information like created README file for project.
So basically, what we're doing is
close the quote.
Right. We're okay. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. So git commit. I don't understand what the -m is yet. So we'll see what happens here.
Go ahead. The M is for the message that is attached to the commit.
Okay. So you can add a message for whatever files you decide to push into your commits or your commit directory.
Right. And the message is very important because you could have hundreds of developers and designers pushing into the same repo. If you didn't have these messages, all you would have to go by for these commits were little numbers like 9501A86.
Got it. So yeah, it would just have just a series of line items that would take you an eternity to figure out what was happening.
Correct.
Okay.
That is why the message is so important.
All right. So what you're telling me is basically when I commit a file, I need to make sure that I do include this message attachment.
Correct.
So so this should just be part of standard workflow, is, you know.
Yes, and you shouldn't wait too long to make a commitment. It's very important to keep these commits tidy. For instance, if you worked for 2 days on a project and then you made a commit, it would be very difficult to succinctly talk about what was in the commit, because you probably worked on 4 or 5 different things. So if you work on the nav bar and you're done with cleaning up the nav bar, or you're done with adding a button, make a commit so that you can track these things. Also, so you can safely roll them back. A lot of times we'll enter in errors, and that sucks, but it does happen. If you don't make small commits, it makes it very tough to find the error that you injected into the project.
Understood. So it's not only good practice, but it's good for stopping bad things from happening if you wait a week.
Right.
And that would be horrible, because then no one has a point of reference to go back to where it went wrong.
Right. And that's why this begins to be so much different than, say, Photoshop. Because you have the undo in Photoshop, but it only goes back to the last time you saved.
Right.
Here, if we wanted to roll this all the way back to the beginning, and this project would be years old, you could do that. It becomes a superpower. At some point, you begin to wish Photoshop worked more like Git.
Yeah, I mean, in a great situation, Photoshop is kind of one of those programs that's very heavy. So, it's not a realistic expectation as of this time yet,
Right. But as a former print designer, once you get used to this workflow, it starts to grate at you how much that other workflow could have been better.
No, and I do understand what you're saying. I guess in a different sense, I treat my my print design work, you know, and my actually heavy, in this case, non-code work, in a sense where I'm backing it up hourly, so I can refer back per hour. You know, and and just good workflow. I save revisions, you know, so that I can back up. This, in a sense, is taking that concept in a more robust way and putting it, you know, into a situation where not only can you invite collaborators, but you should be able to technically review what they want to collaborate and allow that or disallow it depending on the criteria.
Correct. And you can also do it from literally. You can do this from literally any. Sorry. You can do this from literally any computer that you've logged into, which means that you're no longer tethered to the place where you've set up your elaborate system for tracking.
Okay, so hopefully Marina is following still.
Yes, I see her. She's still with us.
Yeah, because I know I have a feeling that she had some of the same questions I did at the very beginning. So, but yeah, this is making a little more sense to me now. I think it was the nature of new things is, especially when you're older, you tend to kind of stubbornly or begrudgingly enter them, you know, a little more skeptically.
And that's fine. I think it's a good mindset to question. But now that we're at this stage, we can type in Git Log. So type in GITLOG space LOG and hit enter. And you should see that there is a commit there. And that commit says that you've created the README file for the project.
Right.
And there's that long string, that code there. It says commit and then that long number. So right now there's only one commit. The thing that a lot of people mistake, though, is that you've made a commit, but it's still on your machine. Okay, you haven't actually pushed to GitHub yet.
Right, right. So I do technically understand that. However, I can't understand how you would think that things are just magically happening at this point.
Right. So what we need to do is we need to config we need to authenticate GitHub for your machine. So the big thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to go over to github.com and create a project.
Right. So now I have the GitHub desktop app. I don't know if that's useful at all.
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm certain that it is useful. It is a relatively new version of what used to be called GitHub for Mac and GitHub for Windows. I haven't used it a whole lot, nor have I had a reason to use it a whole lot because command lines always just worked.
Okay, so it's basically trying to get you to avoid using it. Is it kind of like a command line with training wheels?
It's training wheels.
Okay, okay, so that makes sense. I installed it because I figured it was all part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's training wheels, and it's fine. It won't mess up your machine for having it. But we do want to go over here and create a repository. So in this case, I would just create a new repo. Go down to the green button, create a new repository. Let's call this one just test. You're gonna destroy it in a second anyway.
Right.
So you'll call this one test. It's public. You've already got a README file, so you do not need to initialize this repository with a README. So we're going to go down to create repository.
Okay, so this is basically, my, where it has my name or my email address. This is where I reside within GitHub, and this is the /test repository name. Okay, so I don't need to add a description at this point. I could, but I don't need to.
Not required.
Because we're going to blow it up anyway. So then when I hit the create repository, this is actually pushing something to the community correct?
It
Or
has, this just exists on your GitHub page right now. Nothing's been pushed to anybody. Okay?
okay, all right. So, all right. Well, I'm getting ahead of you here. So I'm just trying to kind of see further down the road. I tend to have that.
Well, I wanna really quickly look at this for a second, because it gives you a few different setup options here, and a lot of times people get confused because we always begin working on our projects on our desktop, and then we go connect them to a repo, and you have this option to create a new repository from the command line, and you init, and then you add the README, and then you make the commit, and then you remote add origin, and then you push. That's the flow. You're going to see this flow a lot. Okay, add, commit, push. Add, commit, push. Pull will work in there when you begin collaborating with somebody else, but it's always add, commit, push. Add, commit, push. I would add status. Status is always key. Where am I at in the project? What do I have any commits that are set? Do I have any files that have been adjusted that need to be pushed? But in this case, we've already created the repository. So what we want to really copy here is git remote add origin, and then that URL string behind it. That URL string will always be unique to the repository. Okay?
All right.
Do you see git remote add origin?
Yeah, right here.
Go ahead and copy that. Actually, copy the whole string, not just, you want the URL as well. Copy that, go over to your terminal.
All right.
Paste that in.
Yeah, I need to put a new shell on my terminal. It's a little text looking.
That's fine. You go ahead and hit enter. Okay. And now we are going to git push -u origin master.
All right, so this command, I guess I'll let you explain it because I will explain it incorrectly.
All right, so like when you create a new repository, you are on the branch of master by default.
Right.
All right. So when you git push, you're pushing it somewhere, and
So
in this case, you're pushing to master. In other versions, you may git push origin GH pages or origin applesauce, depending on what you've called the branch that you're working on. But master is the default.
So when I designate let's say an applesauce location for using your example, it's not something I have to put like a slash or anything. I would just type applesauce because it's just looking for that particular location.
Correct.
Okay.
And not only the location, it's actually looking for that particular version of the location. All right. The location is, in this case, the repository called test. But if I'm looking for cactus, if the cactus is the name of the branch, I'm looking for the version of test that's called cactus and not master. So this is where it begins spidering out and makes people crazy until you get this basic process down. All right?
Yeah, because I understand that in concept. I just can't visualize how.
And I don't want you to try to visualize it yet. I really want you to practice being comfortable creating a repo, adding files, committing, pushing that up, and destroying it. Okay? So let's go ahead and push this. Go ahead and hit enter.
All right, so I'm assuming at this point, and hopefully I'm not assuming wrong, that when you do get into your atoms or your Sublime text, that there's some sort of inherent connection there.
Correct. That is where, so because Git is watching this folder, if you are making changes that would push back into this folder, Git's going to see them. If you added a period in your index.html from Sublime Text or Atom, whatever, if it's into this folder, Git's going to see it. And it's going to say, a change has been made. Now, you will need to enter your username and password here. I can't see them, and it will not display, okay? So when you're typing, nothing's going to show up.
I have no idea what. I mean, is this from like my personal computer, or is this for GitHub?
GitHub. This is for GitHub. Your username for GitHub.
Okay, so yeah, so that's going to be something I'll have to find. I'll have to track down really quick.
Okay.
Because it's been a while since I set this up. It's been a few weeks, so.
Okay. Just know that nothing's going to show up on your actual GitHub page until you authenticate with GitHub.
All right, so I think what I'm going to do, like right now, is I'm going to have to because I have a lot of sensitive items on my screen in general.
Oh, it's fine. Let's go ahead and shut that down then.
Yeah, I'm going to back off that, and then when I get that, I'll request to be put back on. So
that's fine.
So let's see.
I'll hide you from broadcast. There we go. That seems to put me back in the driver's seat. I do have student sessions that begin in just a few minutes. We've went a little over here, but I do want to thank everybody for popping through. It looks like we've got a few more questions. Oh, Marina was asking collaboration for Envision. Envision's great. It's a great quick prototyping tool, but it's static. It's not something that somebody else can go into your files and begin pushing those files around and editing them. The other big thing to keep in mind is Envision's not a real product. It's a prototype of a product. When you start dabbling into the realm of GitHub, you're making real web products that can exist on the web, that can find their way out to the broader market. That isn't to say that that's the end of the line. It's actually the very beginning of the line. There's a lot more that you can do. Many people use GitHub as not their deployment strategy, but as their hosting strategy, as a place to keep a copy of the code. And then they will go deploy the code on something like Amazon Web Services or Heroku or any number of other places. But GitHub is becoming an increasingly popular way to host simple websites. Many of the websites that you can build in the program for Bloc can simply be hosted on GitHub pages, particularly if you're in the design course. If you're in one of the front-end courses, or if you're in one of our Rails courses, obviously you're probably going to want something a little more robust, Amazon Web Services, EC2 configuration, or maybe Heroku. A lot of our folks do use Heroku. So that's not to say that that Envision's not important. It is important. Great prototyping tool, but it's not a deployment tool. So I hope I clear up any confusion that is there. But with that in mind, I want each of you to feel free to reach out to me at Chris. That's actually, I can't spell my name right now, but Chris at bloc.io. If you need further assistance. Also, this video has been recorded live, so that we can go back and revisit any of the topics that we discussed today. I'm sure it made for riveting, absolutely riveting television, if that's really what you call a YouTube live broadcast. But it should prove helpful to those of you who happen to have been here today and want to revisit the topics that we've discussed. And it also should prove helpful to those who have questions about GitHub and how to get things started. I was so happy that Marina came through with her questions specific to Windows. I don't actually work with Windows machines all that often, but we were able to get installed properly on her machine. And And we also linked to ss64.com/nt to get those command line tools that are specific to Windows out there as well. So with that, my name's Chris Courtney. I'm the lead mentor of design at Block. And I've got sessions to go get to myself, so I'm going to sign out. Once again, if you're here and you're needing further assistance, feel free to reach out to me at Chris. Actually, I'll not say at Chris. I'm at DesignHog on Twitter, and my email address is chris@block.io, bloc.io. Talk soon. Bye-bye.